Hi, my name is Sam Cook. I'm an owner-operator boring hemp company. This is going to be part one of a two-part on irrigation. Irrigation is a big deal, so we're giving it two videos. Um, First part of this video, we're going to talk about the actual systems and how much water we use, when we use it, all those kind of things. And then the second video will be about hardware, what we use in our own fields for watering. There's a lot of options for watering. First, we use drip systems in all our fields. We do have some Eastern Oregon farmers that use pivot. Generally, that's going to be an option for guys that, one, are already set up for pivot, and two, it's got to be pretty dry. Putting moisture into flower always scares us, especially if you're in a temperate place. If you don't know what a pivot is, then it probably won't impact you. So that's okay. So we drip system everything. We start our seeds in greenhouses, in trays. Our goal is always to keep that soil moist. We don't want to create a swamp, but we want those seeds to be moist. They crack, they germinate. Generally, they're in our trays for about 25 to 28 days in our trays. We then move them out into the field. Now, we generally consider about a 2-week establishment period from seedling tray to the field. And we're going to water every day in that establishment period. Those plants are little. We plant in 231 cell trays. So the plants are generally only about 3 inches tall. We want to keep them nice and moist, nice and happy. They're going to grow, and after that 2-week period, we're going to back off the watering. So we'll generally go for about every other day for a week or two, and then once we're in full veg phase, we're going to go usually about 3 times a week. For us, it looks like usually Monday, Wednesday, Friday, take off Saturday and Sunday. Now, it's a little bit dependent on the farm that we're at and the soils we're in. So at our big farm in Boring, it's very high clay soils and it's pretty temperate. So they end up watering a little less than maybe the farm that we're at right now, which is kind of on the line between east and west of Oregon. So Eastern Oregon is high desert, similar to Colorado, Utah. Maybe not quite as high, but close. Our farm in Eastern Oregon is around 4,000 feet elevation. This farm is up on a mountain, and we get more rain than Eastern Oregon, but a lot more sun and a lot more wind than Western Oregon. So we end up being kind of right in the middle of that. Eastern Oregon, we water more than either here or in Boring. So one of the most common questions I get: how much water do I need? Like I said, it kind of depends on your soils, where your farm's located. But based on math here, I use around 6,500 gallons per acre per week. Okay, if I'm watering 3 times a week, generally I'm around 2,100 gallons, maybe a little 2,150 per acre per time that I water. And so I'm using around 6,500 gallons of water per acre per week. I'm fertigating through all my drip lines, and we're going to get into that system in the next video. But I touched on seedlings, so we water every day. Establishment period, we water every day. We cut it back to once every other day, and then generally we're 3 times a week. Once we get into the bloom phase, we might increase our fertilizer rates, but generally we're not going to continue to water, as usually it's still about 3 times a week. Usually we cut back and cut off our water around mid-September. Might be a little earlier. Now, one caveat about Oregon is generally we aren't getting rain in the summer. So at this farm, it's abnormal to have rain in the month of July and August, and oftentimes in September. There have been years when we haven't had rain from May 15th pretty much through September. That's pretty common. And so I know some of our farmers up in Wisconsin, Minnesota, or upstate New York, or anywhere on the northeastern seaboard, they're like, well, I get a lot of rain during the summer. Do I really need to irrigate? And my answer is usually, yeah, I would have it. It's a little scary to give it up to chance a little bit, but usually setting up a system's not too expensive, depending on the size of your farm. And if it's a big farm, you don't really want to leave it all up to chance. So hopefully this video was helpful in just kind of laying out the frequency, how we use it, and then the next video is going to be hardware, kind of what we use to get that water to our plants. Boring Hemp Company, name for the town of Boring, Oregon, not the genetics.